Hi, I'm Teri Dreher, and I'm a nurse. I'm also a family caregiver and a professional patient advocate. How I got from one extreme to the other is quite an interesting story. It all began on a cruise ship off the coast of Belize in 2008. Our whole family was on a cruise for relaxation. We never expected any kind of medical calamity to happen. Fortunately, I was on that cruise ship and I was able to spring in and help a family member. It was a very scary time. I'm sure no caregiver ever expects that they will be a caregiver. They kind of get thrust into that role unexpectedly. Sometimes it's a shocking way, sometimes it's a more gradual thing. But for me, it was a really incredible experience to be able to walk with my family through a really difficult time. My father-in-law ended up having a medical crisis while we were on a cruise ship, and over the next 6 weeks I was able to coordinate an emergency transport back to the U.S. And being a family member, walking through that whole experience was really shocking to me. I did not realize what things were like from a family member's perspective. It gave me a whole different level of empathy for what families go through and how difficult really it is to be a caregiver. Families are difficult when the patriarch of a family starts to fall apart. There's all kinds of dynamics that happen, and I was right there to watch it all. Fortunately, my father-in-law is still alive today, and that's kind of a longer story. But what I want to talk about today is just really the importance of having to step up and do bold things before, during, and after a crisis. And some of those bold things I had to do really stretched me professionally and personally. I had to stand up to doctors and say, no, this is not going to happen, or yes, this is going to happen, or bring things to the attention of the medical establishment that were not being paid attention to. And it was scary for me to see how many near calamitous situations almost killed him. He was in ICU 5 times. He ended up having 7 different interventional procedures. He came very close to dying. And that gave me such a compassion and a different vantage point. So the good thing that came out of it was that I was able to switch my career from intensive care nurse to private professional patient advocate, because I was really struck by how difficult modern healthcare can be, not only because of high rates of medical error and poor communication, but because families and caregivers are just not supported as well as I think they need to be. And the other thing that I want to talk about is how important your attitude is to making things possible, doing things that you weren't trained to do, bringing out the strength from within yourself. For me, that strength came from my faith. The source of my strength is really my faith, and no matter what faith background you come from, I think that can be potentially a huge support for people. And I also think it's important to talk about all those lies we tell ourselves when we're struggling with being a caregiver, that somehow God doesn't love me anymore because of what has happened here, and that is just so totally untrue. I think talking through those difficult ethical questions and how it affects us personally is really important if we're going to be able to help others who walk through a very difficult path themselves. And so today I've completely changed the focus of my whole life because of what I saw. I've been able to write a book. I've been able to help dozens and dozens of people walking through difficult situations. And I just want to give a message that is full of inspiration and hope to people, and just empower them and equip them to be the best version of themselves no matter what they're walking through.